The snow had been falling for 3 days straight in Cedar Falls, Michigan. Tom Brennan stood in his small garage workshop, watching the white curtain thicken outside his window. At 58, he'd seen plenty of harsh winters, but this one had a particular bite to it. His phone buzzed. Another cancellation. That made for today. People weren't venturing out, and he couldn't blame them. His mechanic shop had been struggling even before the storm hit. The bills were piling up, and Christmas was just 2 weeks away. Tom ran his weathered hand through his graying hair and looked at the old photograph pinned to his workbench. His daughter Sarah, smiling at him from 20 years ago. She'd be 35 now, living somewhere out west with a family of her own. They lost touch after the divorce. His biggest regret. The phone rang again. He almost didn't answer. "Hello, Mr. Brannan, this is Margaret Chen. I know this is asking a lot, but I'm desperate." Her voice carried that particular strain of a parent at the end of their rope. Tom knew it well. "My daughter Emma. She's 8. She's been sick all week with the flu, stuck in bed. And today her music box broke. The one her grandmother gave her before she passed. It's the only thing that helps her sleep. I found your number online. You do repairs, right?" Tom glanced at his empty schedule. "I mainly work on cars, ma'am, but I used to tinker with all sorts of things." "What kind of music box?" "It's old. Victorian, I think." The mechanism inside just stopped. "I tried winding it, but nothing happens. I know with the storm it's probably impossible, but I thought I'd try." "We live on Maple Ridge, about 15 miles from town." 15 miles in this weather. The main roads were barely passable. Maple Ridge was up in the hills where the wealthy folks lived. Those big houses set back from the road. Tom should have said number, should have told her to wait until the storm passed. But something in her voice reminded him of all those nights he'd failed to be there when Sarah needed him. "Text me your address," he said quietly. "I'll see what I can do." 2 hours later, Tom's old pickup truck crawled up the winding road to Maple Ridge. The snow had turned the world into a white maze. His hands ached from gripping the steering wheel, and his back protested every bump and slide. But on the passenger seat, carefully wrapped in a soft cloth, sat the small Victorian music box. He'd spent the past hour at his workbench, his reading glasses perched on his nose, carefully dismantling the delicate mechanism. A broken spring, worn gears. He'd replaced what he could from his collection of salvaged parts, cleaned and oiled the rest. When he'd wound it up and heard that sweet, tinkling melody, something warm had spread through his chest. The tune was Brahms' Lullaby, the same song he used to hum to Sarah when she was small. The house that emerged from the snow was exactly what he'd expected. Grand, modern, floor-to-ceiling windows glowing with warm light. The kind of place that made his small apartment above the garage seem even smaller. He parked and trudged through the deep snow to the front door, the music box tucked inside his coat to keep it warm. The woman who answered was in her late 30s, with kind eyes and dark hair pulled back in a hasty ponytail. She wore yoga pants and an oversized sweater, looking nothing like the CEO of Thornton Industries. Though Tom didn't know that yet. "Mr. Brannan, oh my God, you actually came." Margaret Chen looked past him at the snow-covered truck, then back at his face. "Please, come in. You must be freezing." The house was warm and smelled like chicken soup. Children's drawings covered the refrigerator. A half-finished jigsaw puzzle spread across the coffee table. Despite its size, the place felt like a home. "I fixed it," Tom said simply, carefully unwrapping the music box. The spring was broken, and some gears needed replacing. "Should work fine now." He wound a small key and opened the lid. The delicate ballerina began to turn, and Brahms' Lullaby filled the room. Margaret's hand flew to her mouth. "I can't believe you fixed it in this weather." Her eyes filled with tears. "Emma's been crying all day." This was her grandmother's, my mother's. She passed last year, and Emma. This box is all she has left of her. Tom understood loss. He understood the weight of things left unsaid, undone. Would she like to see it? he asked. Emma Chan was a small girl with her mother's eyes and a pale face that spoke of days in bed. She sat propped up with pillows, surrounded by used tissues and coloring books. When Tom walked in and wound up the music box, her whole face transformed. Grammy's song. She reached for it with both hands, and Tom gently placed it on her lap. "You fixed it." "Mommy said it was broken forever." "Nothing's broken forever," Tom said, settling into the chair beside her bed. "Sometimes things just need a little patience and the right tools." Emma wound the key herself, watching the ballerina spin. "Grammy used to dance with me when this played. She said the ballerina was me when I grow up." "Your Grammy sounds like she was pretty special." "She was." Emma looked up at him with that unsettling directness that only children possess. "Are you somebody's Grampy?" The question hit harder than he expected. "No, sweetheart. I have a daughter, but she's all grown up. We don't talk much anymore." "Why not?" "I made some mistakes when she was young. Worked too much. Wasn't there when I should have been." Emma considered this with the gravity of 8 years. "Grammy used to say it's never too late to say sorry." Out of the mouths of babes, Tom thought. His throat felt tight. Margaret appeared in the doorway. "Ma, honey, let Mr. Brannan rest. He drove a long way in the snow." But Tom found he didn't want to leave just yet. "Would you like me to tell you about some of the things I used to fix for my daughter?" She loved music boxes too. An hour passed. Then another. Tom told Emma stories about his workshop, about the old carousel he'd once restored, about the antique clock he'd fixed for the library. Margaret brought him coffee and homemade cookies, and the three of them sat in that warm room while the snow fell outside. At some point, the conversation shifted. Margaret talked about her mother, about raising Emma alone after her divorce, about the weight of her responsibilities. Tom found himself talking about Sarah, about the regrets that kept him up at night. "You should call her," Margaret said gently. "It really is never too late." "I wouldn't know what to say." "It's been 5 years since we last spoke." "Start with 'I'm sorry and I miss you.' The rest will come." When Tom finally stood to leave, Emma was asleep, the music box clutched to her chest, a smile on her peaceful face. At the door, Margaret pressed an envelope into his hand. "For the repair and the gas, and for being kind when you didn't have to be." Tom looked inside and nearly dropped it. "Ma'am, this is way too much." The repair was maybe $50 of parts. "You drove 15 miles in a blizzard to fix a child's toy. You stayed and made her smile for the first time in days. You gave us both something we needed tonight. Please, take it." The envelope held $500. "I can't, Mr. Brannan." Her voice was firm but warm. "Let someone help you for once. I looked up your shop online while you were with Emma. I know things have been difficult. Consider it an early Christmas present." Tom's eyes burned. "Thank you," he managed. "And ma'am, whatever you do for work, they're lucky to have you. You've got a good heart." Margaret smiled. "I start a new job on Monday, actually. Regional CEO for Thornton Industries. Moving here was supposed to be a fresh start for us." "Tonight you helped remind me why we came." Tom didn't quite register the significance of that. He was too busy trying not to cry in front of this kind stranger who'd shown him more grace than he deserved. The drive home was easier somehow, despite the snow still falling. Tom's phone sat on the seat beside him. 3 times he reached for it. 3 times he pulled back. At a red light, with nothing but white silence around him, he finally picked it up, scrolled through his contacts to a number he hadn't dialed in 5 years. His finger hovered over Sir's name. Emma's voice echoed in his mind. "Grammy used to say it's never too late to say sorry." He pressed call. It rang once, twice. He almost hung up. "Dad?" Sarah's voice, uncertain and wary, but there. "Real." "Sarah." "Sweetheart." Tom's voice cracked. "I'm so sorry for everything. I know I don't deserve it, but I miss you. Every single day, I miss you." Silence stretched between them, filled with 5 years of hurt and absence. Then, "I miss you too, Dad." And Tom Brannan, sitting in his old truck in the middle of a snowstorm, wept with relief. Monday morning, Tom was under a Honda when his phone rang. He didn't recognize the number. Brennan's garage. Mr. Brennan, this is Margaret Chen. I hope I'm not interrupting. Mrs. Chen, how's Emma? She's perfect. Back to school and sleeping through the night with that music box on her nightstand. I'm calling because, well, I started my new position today at Thornton Industries. We manufacture commercial vehicles and equipment. I've been reviewing our local service contracts. Tom wiped his hands on a rag, confused about where this was going. Your garage came up in my research. Small operation, excellent reputation with what customers you have, but struggling. Mr. Brennan, how would you feel about becoming an authorized service center for Thornton equipment? It would mean steady work, regular contracts. We'd help with equipment upgrades, training. Tom nearly dropped the phone. Mrs. Chen, I don't know what to say. Say yes. You showed up in a blizzard for a child you'd never met. That tells me everything I need to know about your character. Business is about relationships, Mr. Brennan. I want to work with people who understand what really matters. Christmas Eve found Tom closing up the shop early. The past 2 weeks had been a whirlwind. The Thornton contract was real. Work orders were already coming in. He'd even hired his first employee, a young kid fresh out of tech school who reminded him of himself 40 years ago. But more importantly, Sarah was coming to visit. She'd be there tomorrow, bringing her husband and his grandson whom he'd never met. Tom locked the door and looked up at the snow beginning to fall again. Soft flakes catching the streetlights, turning Cedar Falls into something magical. His phone buzzed with a text from Margaret. Merry Christmas, Mr. Brennan. Thank you for reminding me that kindness is never wasted. Emma says the ballerina is still dancing. Tom smiled and texted back, Merry Christmas to you both. Thank you for giving an old man the courage to call his daughter. He walked to his truck, no longer feeling the cold. Sometimes, he thought, you drive through a storm expecting nothing but the next hour's struggle. And sometimes you find that kindness creates its own kind of warmth, spreading out in ways you never could have imagined. All because a little girl needed her music box fixed, and a lonely man decided to show up. The snow fell gently on Cedar Falls, and Tom Brennan drove home to prepare for his daughter's homecoming, his heart fuller than it had been in years. Some gifts, he learned, aren't wrapped in paper and bows. Some arrive in the middle of a snowstorm, carried by someone who simply chose to care when they didn't have to.